Committee Room 21. Signed. 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 Committee Room 21. Sound. Committee Room 21.
Let me know if we're live yet. That's us. Thank you very much. Members, welcome back after the summer recess to our first meeting of this term, or this year, for the Committee on Procedures, if I could speak today. Just to confirm that this meeting will be recorded and broadcast throughout Parliament buildings and online, and members are welcome to use your mobile devices as long as they're in airplane mode and all devices are muted. It's not permitted to take photographs or record any of the meetings. So I'm just double checking with everyone to see if anyone has any interest to declare in relation to today. I'm seeing no's. So we'll go through. We have a few apologies today. So just to let you know, members, that we've received apologies from Trevor Clark, who's actually got a clash with Commission meeting today. So Trevor may or may not be able to join us. I imagine this meeting today might actually be over before Trevor would get here. Also, Cara Hunter, and at this point I would like to pass on our committee's congratulations to Cara on her recent wedding, and can't wait to see more of her beautiful photographs. We've also been told that Robbie Butler is unavailable today. He sent his apologies. Anyone else aware of any other apologies today? No, okay. Minutes, moving on to agenda item 2, which is our draft minutes, and the draft minutes of the meeting.
Committee Room 29. Sound. 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 Committee Room 29. Sound.
We good to go? Yep, excellent. Okay, folks, so welcome to the Infrastructure Committee meeting of the 10th of September. Just before we start, I'd just like to acknowledge the absence of the Chair, Deborah Erskine, who's off ill at the minute. On behalf of the committee, we wish her well for a safe and speedy recovery. I know, knowing Deborah, she's probably tuned in and keeping an eye on proceedings, and we'll keep an eager eye on things, and we'll remain in contact with her. And would also like to welcome officially Justin McNulty to the committee, who is replacing Mark Durkin. And we welcome Justin and thank Mark for his service since the beginning of this mandate. So just to provide a brief on today's business, we receive an oral evidence from the Department of Infrastructure on the outcome of the review of Trustports consultation and the next steps, and we will consider 3 SRs and 1 SL1 subject to Assembly proceedings, and 7 SL1s and 6 SRs not subject to Assembly proceedings. And just to inform those in the public gallery that the use of mobile devices through Wi-Fi connections is allowed, but all devices should be muted. 3, 4 and 5G cannot be used, and no photographs or recordings can be made. And if members are content, we will proceed through the agenda. Excellent. So just in terms of apologies, we have apology from the Chairperson, Deborah Erskine, and just to check if there are any other apologies, and to note that both Nicola Brogan and Justin McNulty are online. Okay, members. Declarations of interest, just to remind members that they are obligated to declare any relevant financial or other interests which may reasonably be thought by others to influence their approach to the matter under consideration. Any members who do have interest to declare in relation to today's business should do so now or when the particular matter arises. Does anyone have any matters to declare? Nope. Thank you. Just under Chairperson's business then, just would be, I think, right and proper to acknowledge that this week marked 1 year anniversary of the opening of Grand Central Station. I think it's fair to say it's been a success, and we just congratulate Translink for their work in that and the ongoing work, and it is great to see that being used. And obviously there is a lot of ongoing associated construction work and logistical work around it, and we hope that that can be completed at pace with the least amount of disruption to those in the area, but it is good to see it progressing as well as it is. In terms of draft minutes then, the draft minutes of the previous meeting of the 2nd of July have been circulated. Can I get agreement that members are content with the minutes and that they're a true and accurate record of the meeting? If so, I will sign them. Agreed. Thank you, members. Okay, matters arising. At page 18 of the Clerk's memo, there is an update on the Belfast Traffic Congestion Summary Report of June 2025. I just want to highlight that the media reports that Durham Street is expected to reopen in the run up to Christmas. Therefore, it may be worthwhile to receive a traffic congestion update to enable the committee to analyse the impact of the reopening for future reports. Can I just get members' views on whether they wish to continue to receive these periodical updates? My personal opinion is they are worthwhile having. They are compiled already, and especially with that planned work in the lead up to Christmas, it would be advantageous to get that.
Would agree with that proposal, Chair.
Thank you. Correspondence, members, if you just bear with us, there is, as you've seen in your pack, quite a large number of pieces of correspondence. We will go through each of those. At page 20, there's a correspondence memo. At page 30, there's a ministerial response to the committee correspondence requesting a breakdown of funding awarded to community transport organisations against what was originally sought by each organisation and operator. Can I get agreement to write to the Minister requesting that the information is provided at the earliest opportunity? We've obviously had a briefing about this, and we know that members have concerns, particularly about community transport and the impacts of funding for those organisations, so it would be advantageous to get that. Members content?
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you. Page 33, there's a ministerial response to committee correspondence seeking further information in relation to the investigation into driving licence fraud. Can I get agreement to write to the Minister requesting confirmation that the investigation has been completed and if there have been any disciplinary action taken against the suspended staff? Content with that?
Yep. Good, Chair.
Members, if there's anything, by the way, in these pieces above and beyond my recommendation, if you just want to butt in, I'm happy for you to do so. Page 34, there is ministerial correspondence confirming the outcome of the June monitoring round for the Department and the decisions on the distribution of additional resource and capital. Anyone got anything to comment on that? Obviously, there was a lot less allocated than was requested. We kind of knew that would be the case, but that will obviously have impacts on the plans that were originally made in that monitoring round request. Any comments at this stage? No? Okay. Page 36, there's ministerial correspondence providing a copy of the independent review of NI Water's resource budget management in the 2024-2025 period by PwC. This is the same report that members were notified of during the summer with instructions for accessing in line with the Assembly's procedures for handling confidential documents.
Just to say, Chair, for members, a link has been sent to you now through a link to the confidential document itself, if you want to access that. So you should have received that just now.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
Chair.
Just on that point, where do we go with that now? That report, do we have a conversation here with any water about that, or what's
I'm in your hands, Keith,
that a
and
good
members.
thing?
I think we could do.
I think it probably merits a conversation, doesn't it?
Is that an open session? I assume.
It can be either. Bow to the.
Based on the report, is that report when's that going? Is that public?
There's a sanitised version of it. You've seen the full version,
Okay.
But there is a version online. I understand.
And it's out there.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I presume we need to have a conversation with NI Water. Just pull up a few points about it. We just can't let it sit, I presume.
Yeah. No, I think so.
Okay, will we factor that into the forward work programme then as quickly as possible to try and get a briefing on that, and we can put questions to NI Water regarding it? Okay, thank you, members.
Yep.
Page 38 then, there is ministerial correspondence providing a copy of the DVA annual report and accounts, and I just want to seek agreement to schedule oral evidence session from the DVA in the forward work programme to provide an update on its performance against its objectives and relevant operational matters. Content with that, members? Yep. Thank you. Page 163, ministerial response to committee request for the rationale for the proposed change to speed limit at Gardeners Cross Road and the implications for residents on the route. I just want to seek members' response that you're content with this. I think someone from the committee had raised about this previously. Was it yourself, Keith? Potentially.
Can't recall that.
Come on, Keith, make a name for yourself, kid. Hey,
I can't recall it.
there's one back for you. I must tackle
Early in the season, but sure.
We'll come back to it if needs be.
Members are championship chair, back in the championship, right? Okay.
If members are content, the committee will further consider the proposal for the statutory rule at a further meeting anyway, so we can discuss it then if needs be. Page 165, there is a ministerial response to the committee request for further information in relation to the Barmouth moles at Castle Rock and Port Stewart. Can I grant agreement to write to the Minister seeking confirmation of the source of the funding and funding options available for this?
Yeah, I think that's important, Chair. Just again, so like many people, holiday up there, it's quite a substantial bit of infrastructure, leisure crafts, Coney and Trustports, I think it needs to be kept an eye on, really, you know what I mean, because to have that feel would be quite substantial, I think.
Absolutely. Okay, we can note that. We will get that factored in. Thank you for that, Andrew. Okay, at 168, there's a ministerial response to a committee request for information of the to extend the powers proposed in the Administrative and Financial Provisions Bill. Can I get members' views and seek a response, including whether they are issues they wish to highlight to the Committee for Finance to inform its scrutiny of the bill? You content with that?
Yes.
Yep. Thank you.
Just to check, that's to forward the response from the Minister to from the Department to the Committee for Finance, just to keep us right.
Happy members? Yes. Everyone's very quiet today. Still finding their feet. But page 170, there's a ministerial response to the committee correspondence following the informal meeting with Logistics UK regarding their concerns for the haulage industry. Can I seek agreement to forward to Logistics UK for information and comments? A number of us did attend that meeting. I think it was very productive. I think there's a new chief executive starting shortly, I believe, as well. So we may well seek another informal meeting on the back of that. But if you're happy, members, we'll forward that on from the committee or from the department. At page 257, there's the Department for Infrastructure Correspondence providing a copy of the accounts on annual report for Northern Ireland Transport Holding Company for 24-25. Can I seek agreement to schedule an evidence session in the forward work programme for TransLink on a suitable date? Thank you, members. At page 362, there is the Department for Infrastructure Correspondence providing a copy of its business monitoring plan for 24-25. And again, can we seek agreement to schedule an evidence session in the forward work programme? Take the silence as a yes. Page 415, there is a response from the Committee for Finance to the committee correspondence regarding the increase in insurance premiums. Just say, given the committee's interest on the impact of the motor insurance premiums for motorists in Northern Ireland, I think it's worthwhile that the committee writes to the Motor Insurance Task Force to reiterate the committee's position. I know that we have members had a long conversation on this, and I'll not be the only one in the room as the local representatives who've been getting correspondence from constituents deeply concerned about the increase in rises in this. So are we content for that to happen and to try and keep as much pressure on this as possible? Okay, thank you. At page 411, there's an invitation to the Planning, Development Management Regulations Northern Ireland 2015 workshops being held as part of the Phase 2 of the review process. Can I get members to confirm their intention if they wish to attend if they haven't already done so? Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Oh.
Sure.
Yes, sorry, Justin.
Just could we flick back, please, to that Committee for Finance, one of the Motor Insurance Task Force.
Yep, go ahead.
The Department for Justice, which I've just left, they are also responsible for the personal injury discount rate, which regulates the price of insurance. Can we link in with them as well, please, on that front?
Yes, absolutely, Justin. We can do that if members are content.
Yep.
So that'll be a tri-committee piece of work between ourselves, Economy and Justice in that respect. Okay, thank you, Justin. Page 448, the Public Accounts Committee requests to share any correspondence relating to the recent ruling on the delivery of the A5 upgrade with members. Can I seek agreement to share any correspondence on the recent ruling in relation to the A5 project? Anyone get any comments or anything on that at this stage?
Just record as I'm a member of the PSC as well, Chair.
Okay, thank you for that. Page 449, the Committee for Agriculture, Environment and Rural Affairs correspondence in relation to the dilapidation bill. Just checking if any members have any comments on that. No. Page 490, there is correspondence from the Committee for Economy and a call for evidence in relation to the Insolvency Amendment Bill. Again, any comment at this stage? No. Page 546, there's correspondence from Alex Easton MP requesting that the committee undertake a review of Minister Kimmon's handling of a proposal regarding the use of turbulent vortex turbines to electrify Northern Ireland's railways and support hydrogen production using the renewable hydropower, following correspondence from a member of the public. Can I get agreement, members, that we write to Mr Easton stating that the committee does not usually interfere in and consider individual complaints and refer the individual to local MLAs? Happy with that? Thank you. At page 562, there is correspondence from the Cycling UK regarding the active travel budgets. I want to seek agreements to forward this to the Minister for Infrastructure for her response from the department. Happy with that course of action? Yes. At page 565, there is correspondence from the Mineral Products Association for Northern Ireland on the road maintenance allocation. And a request to meet with the committee. I know, members, that many of you will be contacted, I think, during recess by Gordon and his team, and I think we all share the deep concerns they have about the funding for roads maintenance and the impact that will have on the industry going forward. We have had a briefing previously from the Mineral Products Association for Northern Ireland. There is a request there for another briefing for the committee, or we could do one informally. I'm in the hands of the members if we think that it would be worthwhile. I certainly don't have any problem scheduling that if needs be. I think it could be advantageous. Again, okay. Thank you, members.
Sorry, was that for a formal oral session or for an informal?
Formal oral, I'd prefer.
Right, Justin?
Formal oral, I'd prefer.
No problem. Thank you.
I have no objections, Chair.
Okay, yep, happy with that. We can make that work. Thank you, members. At page 567, there is correspondence from a member of the public requesting that the committee explores the potential of free public transport for disabled people. I want to seek agreement to defer the consideration for the request to a future meeting to allow for the publication of the Department's report on the transport strategy, which may in future include this provision. Are we happy with that course of action?
Yep.
Thank you, members. And I just wish to seek agreement with members that they are content to note the remaining correspondence, and if they have anything to raise within it, happy to take that now. No? Okay. On to item 7 then, is the review of the Trustports consultation and the next steps, and we'll welcome representatives from the Department of Infrastructure here. At page 570, members, we have the Department for Infrastructure's written evidence on the review of Trustports update. And at page 573, we have the official report as well from the Belfast Harbour Commissioners. And at page 589, the official report on the review of Trustports Department of Infrastructure. So, okay. We're just waiting on the officials. Good morning.
How are you?
You're very welcome, folks. Nice to see you again. Hope you had a nice summer break. Well, not that a break, but a nice summer anyway. I'll be welcome Sian Kerr, the Director of Public Transport Planning and Policy, the Department of Infrastructure, Mrs. Adele Campbell, Gateways Branch Department for Infrastructure, and Royanne Kincaid, the Gateways Branch Department Infrastructure. Can we maybe take 5 minutes of your time just to get an update on the work and the consultation, and then we'll open up to members?
Yeah.
And if it takes past 5 minutes, sure. We're pretty understanding.
Thank you, Chair, for inviting us to provide an update to the committee today on the review of Trustports. You've already introduced my team, but we have got Adele and Royanne joining me today. So if the Chair is content, I'll begin by setting out the context of the public consultation, and then I'll talk specifically about the outcomes or findings and the policy recommendations. The public consultation ran for 12 weeks from the 16th of December until the 10th of March 2025. The policy areas under consideration related to the powers, status and governance of the Trustports. The Department gratefully acknowledges the contribution of those individuals and organisations who took the time to help shape our policy development. A copy of the responses report was issued to the committee in June, and it's available on the Department's internet. Whilst most responses have been extremely positive, we noted some respondents declined to answer certain questions, instead preferring to make general comments or raise specific issues not relating to the consultation. Following the consultation, an options paper was provided to the Minister. It set out 5 policy options arising from our analysis of the responses and sought her agreement to the recommendations outlined. The first recommendation was to retain the current Trustport model. As part of the review, we examined what other potential port models may be available for our ports. And from the consultation responses, there was no appetite to move away from the Trustport model. The second recommendation was to bring forward legislative changes, which we are confident will have the effect of bringing the Trustports within the private non-financial corporation status. These legislative changes would require the repealing of 3 powers: the power of the Department to compel the sale of a Trustport, the power of the Department to give a Trustport directions of a general or specific nature, and the powers of the Department, or the Council in the case of Coleraine, to appoint a majority of the members of Trustports, and then include the powers of the Department or the Council in the case of Coleraine to appoint a minority of members of Trustports. There would also be reference to specific Northern Ireland Trustport guidance documents in the individual harbour orders, which will cover the code of practice, preparation of ports master plan guidance, and short-term implementation plan guidance. These documents would further strengthen the relationship between the Department and all the ports, and clarify publication and transparency measures and stakeholder engagement in support of public accountability. In the consultation responses, all Trustports support the changes that need to be made to ensure the Office of National Statistics classification changes. The reclassification will provide the ports with an ability to borrow more freely, and this will provide more flexibility to their operations and help maximise the economic impact they have. It will be helpful in meeting the future needs of both the local economy and the ports themselves. The third recommendation was to bring forward legislative changes to provide the Trustports with a wide range of commercial powers similar to the GB ports. In the consultation responses, all Northern Ireland Trustports support extending the commercial powers available. It was noted the benefit of the reclassification of Trustports with appropriate additional commercial powers will ensure the competitiveness of Northern Ireland's Trustports. The fourth recommendation was to bring forward legislative changes to provide the ports with the general power of direction in line with GB ports. In the consultation responses, all Northern Ireland Trustports consider this power to be essential in the proper discharge of their marine safety obligations under the Port Marine Safety Code and support the inclusion of this power within new legislation. The final recommendation is to bring forward legislative changes to include the directive that statutory harbour authorities could initiate a harbour order as well as the Minister. The consultation responses support the change to streamline the process and bring Northern Ireland in line with existing arrangements in GB. The Minister has agreed to these recommendations. A paper has been issued to the Executive to seek its agreement to the policy proposals being brought forward in a new bill, and agree to the Department engaging with the Office of the Legislative Council to complete the instructions and drafting of clauses for a draft bill. The Minister hopes to introduce the bill before March 2026 to enable the Assembly scrutiny of the bill to commence. So I hope this update has been helpful, and we are very happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. That's really useful and appreciate the updates. We as a committee had the privilege of being at Belfast Harbour just before the break, and it was a really enjoyable experience and good to hear from them. And you highlight that in your evidence session that they, as are the other ports, are very eager to see this happen. Just in terms of that timeline, in terms of the Minister's intention, you are 100% confident that we're going to get this through in this mandate, because obviously there's a concern with bandwidth of legislation output, etc. There is no doubt at this stage that this will be able to make it through before the end of the current mandates.
Well, that's the intention.
That's the intention.
The timescale has always been sort of relatively tight, I suppose. The reason that we were able to put this forward potentially as a slot was because we had a previous version some time ago of the bill. Some of the drafting had been done, but it is tight. And we've never shied away from that point. Yeah.
Okay, well that's good. And I know that the Trustports are very keen to see that happen as quickly as possible. There was some concern among people that this might be a backdoor to the privatisation of the ports, and I think we all know in the evidence, and I've been certainly keen to point out that that's not the case, but you could just set out quite clearly why that isn't the case. That would be useful.
So the model of a Trustport would remain. So, to all intents and purposes, largely they would look the same. The issue is primarily around these extra powers that they require, and also the reclassification that would allow them to borrow, and it not go through the department's books.
Yeah, exactly. You highlighted there, and we heard from the ports about how in GB this has already happened. Just if you could just set out maybe how that's benefited those ports up to this point.
Yeah. So the reclassification at the time, broadly speaking, affected all of the trust ports across the UK and Scotland. And the legislative change was taken forward that now has had the impact of the same that we would like. So certainly, it's freed them up to be able to borrow and to provide a full contribution to the economic situation in those areas. Yeah. So we see it as a positive, and it provides us with the assurance that certainly in terms of ONS, that they've been through this process before. We have examples where this exact thing that we are trying to make happen has happened. Yep. And so we have that experience to rely on.
Just in terms of the public consultation there, and I agree with you, I want to thank everyone who took the time to respond. There were some really good responses in that. Was there anything within that that has influenced how you might reword or change any of the legislation that's coming forward, or anything that flagged up that maybe hadn't been considered?
So I think there were 60 responses, and you've got a copy of the document. I think the responses were broadly in line with what we had anticipated. Some took the opportunity to raise other points that were not necessarily relevant to the changes that we proposed. But largely the situation and the recommendations remained as we had previously briefed you on. I think certainly, the detail then of the drafting will be where some of those issues are more fully explored.
Okay. That's pretty much all from me. I just want to again place and record my thanks to you and your officials for that, and also to our Trustports. I mean, they make a massive economic and social impact here in Northern Ireland, and I've no doubt that when this legislation finally comes to fruition, it will be a huge benefit to them, given that they're huge economic plans that they have to develop their areas and their output. So,
and we've worked very closely with them throughout that process, and they have been very helpful.
For that. Exactly. No, appreciate that. I'll open up the other members, and then I might come back with questions. First up, we have Andrew.
Thank you, Chair. And certainly, yes, I appreciate the economic contribution that the ports make. We're an island economy. We need to get stuff in and out of, so it's super important. But again, just could you elaborate really in the proposed transparency and stakeholder engagement measures, and the support of public accountability? Again, just very conscious that some of these ports are in very close proximity to towns that are also towns and residential areas and the like, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of, I'll maybe bring Royanne and Adele in on this, but look, they have a clear economic benefit, and the economic benefit is not just in terms of them being gateways. You can see, hopefully when you were at Belfast, the work that is going on that more broadly supports the executive's wider ambitions for Northern Ireland. There is an impact in terms of potentially tourism, renewables, energy, data, all of that. So, it isn't just constrained to the gateway aspect. All of the model of a Trustport is that it is for the benefit of the public. I think you may have heard in terms of Belfast, they are owned by no one, but to the benefit of everybody. And certainly from our experience, they are very aware of the relationship they have with the local community, and are all making efforts to ensure that that is positive. Sometimes that's difficult, by the nature of some of the operation supports. But I am absolutely assured that they are aware of the need to engage with the community and to reinforce the wider benefit of the port to the Northern Ireland economy. Don't know if there's anything either of you want to add into that.
No, just endorse really what you say, that the Trustport model as staying, and a component of that is that the profits are ploughed back into the ports as Trustports, and that benefits all the stakeholders, including the local communities as a key stakeholder in our ports.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Cahill?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I couldn't resist speaking because I was just thinking the day I visited the plush place we're in compared to the building we're in today.
And this isn't plush?
It's lovely.
The public night.
No, we're talking about the room we're in that day. All the moulding and everything else. So the meeting room we attended, and obviously got a wee trip out in the boat as well, me and Keith. But the point for me is clearly the especially the part of the conversation that day was about creating a level playing field and an opportunity, which is what this is all about. And I'm just, my two questions obviously around something as to what the Chair was saying. Clearly to get the consultation right and get as much information as possible so we're informed to go forward. And I think we've done that. You may want to speak on that, and maybe some of the commentary around what's said outside the question may inform us as well. You know what I mean? It may, but the other key point, obviously, for them was the timeframes. So two main points is one, we got the consultation right, and two, that if we go forward this, we need to move fairly sharpish because it does create that opportunity for them. And I think after the visit we got a full understanding, a better understanding of exactly. But like I say, the room we're in that day compared to this is two slightly different.
I think this room's pretty nice.
John's in the chair today. Maybe John's in the chair today. That's the reason.
You're holding it against me.
But no, I think as I said, there are certain stages, decision points that the next stage is getting executive endorsement to take this forward. At any stage throughout that process, there's the opportunity for it to be delayed, for sure. But, we are trying our best, as are the ports, to engage with everybody so that it has a smooth passage. And that, certainly I can absolutely assure you that myself and my team are doing all that we can to enable this to be brought forward. But there are risks in the timing. But, we will continue to endeavour to get it put through.
Yes, hopefully be able to move things on.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Anything else, Carl?
No, Chair, there's no China cups today. We were spoilt that day. We were down there absolutely spoilt.
That's gone.
That's the first and last time you did that, right?
Members, are there any other questions at this stage?
Just
You can fight amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
No comment.
There you go, Keith.
Just one question. So you had 60 responses. So the Trustports is currently here. Do you think, are they broadly content with your line of direction?
Yes. I think in fairness, yes, they are. They probably in some cases, would like to go further, but we have to balance, the points made today, public accountability, the role of the ports, everything else, and I think where we've got to is a place that we all agree is a sensible way forward.
And then you talked, Sean, about little comments that other people had made which weren't relevant. What's the bones of them?
So, well, I think some of them potentially were around local issues, and things that have been alluded to in terms of ports being close to communities.
Yeah,
but look, I think that I would suppose make it clear, they haven't. It's not that we ignored those, but they're just not relevant to the specific legislative change.
They're relevant to the people making the comment, but
absolutely.
not relevant to this legislation.
And there's certainly strong feeling, around that. But so it's not to say it's important that people have the opportunity to have their voice heard, and and people wrote in that context.
Acknowledged.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks, Chair. Thank you, folks, for the presentation. Just briefly, would there be any impact if this didn't get through within this mandate? Has there been any arrangements around that? Or you?
So it would remain the status quo. Like, I think the issue is that there's an opportunity lost in terms of potentially the harbours moving forward with development plans that would be of benefit to the executive and Northern Ireland as a whole. So, it just delays things further, and maybe we try again. I don't know, but it would be a shame because it is an opportunity lost.
Yeah,
in the short term.
Just tying in with the major. You're aware of the major development plan in terms of for the cruise ships and so on.
Those opportunities would potentially be lost.
Yeah, there's been a significant amount of investment within that area. Even with 700 apartments being finalised, at the minute and so on. So that on the Titanic, Belfast Harbour, and certainly, there's a real transformation that's taken place.
And you can see certainly in terms of even like Belfast, whenever the cruise ships are in, and the impact that has. So look, it's a growth area. I was at the Belfast briefing, and they spoke about the growth in that space. But, there are wider implications as well around energy and renewables and all of that, go hand in glove with the work that the executive is trying to bring forward and the wider aims for Northern Ireland. So look, it would be a shame, and it would be an opportunity lost.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks,
Chair.
Chair.
Thank you. A couple more, Andrew again, then Justin.
Sorry, Chair, just to comment on the back of the point Keith made about the local issues, and I know that they're not relevant to but I suppose the department is aware of those issues and is taking those on board, but also B, does that not tie in somewhat to the point I tried to make there about the local engagement and the local stakeholders? I mean, how do those, to me those two answers don't quite marry up, if that makes sense, or maybe if you could connect them a bit better, if that's, or sort of explain them a bit better.
So I think for me, I spoke about, each of the ports has probably different issues in terms of the communities. They're in very different locations in terms of in relation to the communities beside them. I think each is aware in terms of that they engage with stakeholders. I know, for example, Warren Point's example, that they have a community forum. I'm not sure off the top of my head in terms of the specific engagement models that the other harbours use, but I do know that they are all very mindful of that relationship. I know that Belfast provides some charitable funding. I know that they support other causes in the community. I think all of them are very aware of the role that they can play and do play within the local area, not only as employers, but also just in terms of the wider benefit to the communities.
Okay.
Justin?
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Sian and Adele and Royanne. Just further to what Andrew has been touching on there and why the legislation is being brought forward, repeal the power of the department to give a trust directions of a general or specific nature as to the exercise of its functions, remove the powers of the department or the council in the case of Coleraine to appoint a majority of members of the Trustports, and then include the powers of the department or the council in the case of Coleraine to appoint the minority of the members of the Trustports, which seems a bit contradictory. Does that mean that Trustports are no longer compelled to oblige the department or local council in terms of its function? Their functions?
So one of the issues in relation to the ONS classification, and one of the reasons why they were reclassified in the first place, was the fact that the department minister appointed a majority of the board. So the change that is very wordy and convoluted is that we would change the legislation to say that we didn't have to appoint the majority and instead would appoint the minority, and that's in relation to avoiding the ONS classification again that links to the borrowing. The first point in relation to, I think it was the information. I can't remember the first part. But yeah, look, that there is the code of conduct, the ongoing engagement with the department. We engage with the ports very regularly. That we are of a view that is not something that would be problematic, and again plays into the ONS classification issue.
So it's not problematic that the department will no longer be able to give Trustport directions of a general or specific nature?
Well, that has never been used to date since that was, so it is a key component of having ONS reclassification looked at. So we would have to address that to achieve the aim of having ONS reclassification reconsidered.
I think there's a wider point that, you know, the cost of control is, you know, if we either have control, in which case we restrict them through the borrowing ability, or we have to lessen some controls to enable that they make a full contribution to the economic position here. We can't have both. So the issue is the balance and how we then put in place guidance and other processes to assure people that they are making that full contribution. If that helps answer the question.
I also come in just to say that even when we remove some of the powers, there still is additional controls remaining within the legislation that the department can use if there's any reason that they need to. But they will also have voluntary measures that we can bring in to improve the accountability and transparency through the code of practice or good governance guidance. But the power, and also even the department will still appoint the chairs. That's not going to be from the ports, it's be from the minister appointing the chairs for all the trust ports. But we just still need, as Shanna said, we need to be mindful that we can't remove controls and then put more controls in that's not going to amend anything regards the ONS classification. But if anything were to come up in the future, the minister can still bring in legislation again to change things. If there is something, if a port's failing to act appropriately or there's some issue that comes up, new legislation can be brought back in again.
Though potentially
that's worrisome for me, folks. That's worrisome for me, where there's a voluntary, you know, it's only voluntary that they have to adhere to certain criteria. Is that what you're specifically
the code of practice is only voluntary. That's the same in all ports in UK and Ireland. There's no legislation. It's in our legislation that the department can bring in the code of practice, but it is only a voluntary measure. But all our trust ports at the minute go by the good governance guidance in the UK have 2008 GB legislation. Guidance, yeah. They currently go with.
They all voluntarily adhere to that standard.
And if it's helpful, we can provide you, in writing. There are a number of measures that are still in place that actually require them to provide information and the like. So this is only some of the powers that we would be repealing, and very happy to write to you in terms of what would remain and how we can utilise those to retain some kind of control, albeit within the realms of not going back towards the ONS classification again. But we are assured that balance is right, and look, happy to provide you with all of the information. We can do that later.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Chair. You obviously know a lot more about it than me, so listen, appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. I think that written brief will be useful, and we will have, as a committee, the opportunity to scrutinise this legislation, both on the floor and in here. And if Justin or any other member wants to bring anything to that, they're welcome to do so. This has been floating about for years in some shape or form, and I think I'm right in saying that every infrastructure minister for the last significant amount of years has been fully supportive of these changes, including the SDLP and Sinn Féin. So I don't think there's anything to worry about in that respect, but it's right and prudent that members look into every aspect of this, and we will do so as a committee when it comes forward for scrutiny. So we look forward to that brief. Cathal?
No, just finally, Chair, it's a valid point to raise, to be fair, but the understanding of it, it's a bit flexibility and opportunity, and I appreciate the issue. I mean, it's in the development zone, so in terms of some of the commentary outside concerned residents or anybody else involved, which is fine, and that'll all play its part, but for us, for those of us who were there at the briefing, we understand clearly what they're trying to do and what it means, and I think it's a great opportunity for them, and it's been floating around. It's just, they all explained that day exactly what they're trying to do, so I mean, I think it'd be a wasted opportunity.
Absolutely.
And I think that just, to be fair, the question that Justin's asking is reasonable, but it's there and can be worked through.
Yeah, we'll come back to the information.
Absolutely. No, 100%. It's reasonable.
No problem.
Well, thank you.
If there's nothing else, members, just remains me to thank you again for coming forward today, for your continued work on this, for your continued engagement with the Trustports, and we look forward to having you back in front of the committee when the legislation is drafted and brought in front of the Chamber and then to this committee.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
I
think you're staying
think
anyway
I'm
for the next one.
You're staying there.
But Adele and Royanne, thank you so much for coming along.
You're re-elected. You're out in the charger there, did you?
Thank you so much.
Like, can I work my iPad to get me the new briefing up? Thank you very much. Cheers. Well done.
And do you want to take a couple of minutes and we'll take a quick break between
That
the
would
two?
be
Would that be
great.
okay? Members, with your indulgence, we'll take 5 minutes at this stage before the next briefing. Thank you. We just suspend.
I don't know if we get feedback from.
No, we don't get much.
We'll take 5 minutes, folks. Thank you.
We don't get much.
Committee Room 29. Sound. 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 Committee Room 29, 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 Sound.
Okay, members, welcome back after our short break. A couple of members just stepped out, but we'll proceed with the agenda. And item 8 is SR 2025-138, the Penalty Charges, Prescribed Devices Amendment Regulations, Northern Ireland 2025. And we will receive oral evidence today. Members, at page 600, there's the Clerk's memo on the SO1, the Penalty Charges, Prescribed Devices Amendment Regulations 2025. And you'll see from pages 601 to 607, documents relating to the SO1, the Penalty Charge Devices Amendment Regulation. We welcome back Sian Kerr. Thank you very much for coming back. We welcome Ms. Laura Irvine, Head of Parking Policy for the Department of Infrastructure. You're very welcome. And Mr. Declan Murphy, Parking Enforcement Operations for the Department of Infrastructure. Again, if you're happy, we'll give you 5 minutes,
yes.
So whatever you need.
This one's even more wordier than the last one.
It is. I've noticed that. And then we'll come to members again, and then we will hopefully approve the statutory rule.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Chair, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to provide an oral briefing on the laying of the Penalty Charges, Prescribed Devices Amendment Regulations Northern Ireland 2025. As you're aware, these regulations were laid during recess under exceptional circumstances and came into operation on the 30th of July. As part of the preparations for the introduction of a new parking enforcement contract, officials have been reviewing enforcement policies along with the new incoming enforcement service provider. One such area was the moving traffic offences, where the need for a technical amendment to the Penalty Charges Prescribed Devices Regulations Northern Ireland 2014 was identified and confirmed by the Departmental Solicitor's Office. The Penalty Charges Prescribed Devices Regulations Northern Ireland 2014 outline the requirements that must be met by all prescribed devices used by the Department for enforcement purposes. These prescribed devices are fixed or static cameras on poles and a camera installed on a mobile enforcement vehicle. These are used to detect moving traffic offences in bus lanes in Belfast. Under the 2014 regulations, all devices require certification by a competent authority in an EEA member state. Whilst the devices used by the Department have always been approved by the Vehicle Certification Agency in England and Wales, following the UK no longer being an EEA state as of the 1st of January 2021, in line with legal advice, it was imperative that we amended the legislation as soon as possible to ensure ongoing compliance and alignment. Resultantly, we acted as quickly as possible to amend the 2014 regulations, removing reference to the EEA and changing this to England and Wales. Whilst we sought to amend the legislative position, we also took the decision to suspend bus lane enforcement activities while we sought confirmation from our enforcement service provider NSL that the enforcement devices in current use also continue to comply with the regulations. NSL confirmed that the devices in questions were certified by the Vehicle Certification Agency in 2012 before they came into operation in 2015. These devices have not changed since they were installed and continue to meet the scheduled requirements set out in the regulations. We welcome the opportunity to provide more information to members and any questions you may have. Thank you.
And again, thank you for that short brief, Sian. Really appreciate it. I suppose just as the acting chair of the committee, and I appreciate his exceptional circumstances, ordinarily would have come through the different process and come to the committee first of all, and I'm sure that will happen going forward, and we would like that to happen, but we appreciate that it couldn't during recess. Just in terms of the changes then, are we now content that everything is fully compliant, and what work's being done to ensure that we don't head towards that potential timing cliff edge again, if there are any changes that might well lead us to this situation again?
So this was done to enable then the work that we need to do as part of the new contractor coming in. I don't know if Declan wants to say just a bit more in terms of that.
So currently our current contractor NSL have been the enforcement contractor since 2012. We have just completed a new procurement exercise, and we have a new contractor now starting on the 1st of November this year. We're currently in a very busy mobilisation period just to make sure that the new contractor will be up and running by the 1st of November, that there's no lapse in continuity of services. So as part of the work that we did, just to make sure that the new contractor was able to hit the road running on the 1st of November, We just were going through all the various policies and procedures just to review them, just to make sure that they were fit for purpose for the 1st of November. And it was during that process that we identified that this technical amendment was needed to this piece of legislation dated from 2014.
It's useful. Like everything, one question leads to another that probably isn't quite related to it, but the new contractor comes in on the 1st of November. That will pertain as well to parking enforcement operators in terms of the existing staff on the ground as well. Are they responsible for them, or is it just the enforcement infrastructure that NSL will be replacing? I'm talking about the red coats.
It would be the traffic attendants as well.
So they'll all existingly transfer across to the new operator?
Absolutely, Chupi applies. So all
seamlessly.
All the current employees, local employees, including management staff based here locally in Northern Ireland, and the traffic attendants, will Chupi across to the new enforcement service provider on the 1st of November, who is a company called APCOA. Might be worthwhile for the committee to get a chat with him if that's a potential, just to iron out a few things potentially if we need to. I'm sure they'll be open to that. Okay, at this stage I don't have anything else, but I am content to open to members if there's anything at this stage.
No, Chair, just to raise that point, obviously contractual arrangements and all, I'm sure there's questions to be asked.
Yes,
how that process. I mean,
I would be happy to dive into that today, but I don't know if it would be the right time to do it.
Not to get into it today,
Yes.
Chair, but just the information, just passed across, just in case there's
absolutely. Any members got anything on this? Keith?
Yeah, so just explain to me that in layperson's terms, Sean, not that there's anything wrong with what you said. So the camera on the pole, okay, just monitoring a bus lane. Who certified that in the past?
So it had been the proper name of it, the Vehicle Certification Agency in England and Wales.
And do they do that every year? Was that
it's done when it's so.
Say it's fitted 5 years ago. It's done at the time.
The current fixed cameras were installed in 2015.
Okay.
And they were certified in 2012 by the Vehicle Certification Agency, which is a part of the Department for Transport in London.
Is that certified that it's the right type of camera?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so this is a recertification?
There's nothing has been, no, this was just the legislation. So there's a piece of legislation that says how we have to prove that. Okay. And in it had said that it had to be certified by an organisation in the EEA, and clearly DFT is no longer in that position. So the issue was simply that we needed to change the reference to EEA to be in line with the current situation. At the time, we wanted to check that this was indeed the case. Whenever we realised the issue in legislation, it took some time to make sure that it was okay, and it was. So that's why we suspended.
Along with that suspension, along with those cameras effectively not doing what they're supposed to be doing, what was that period of time?
So the cameras were still working. We didn't process any resultant PCNs that came from it. So I think it was a week.
8 days.
Yeah. 8 days?
Yes.
Okay. And how many would you be getting in a day, average?
Oh,
I don't know if you have the figures.
Even as a guesstimate.
I don't have the daily amount, but over a year, typically, somewhere around 16,500 PCNs over a year. So I would need to do the math.
Okay.
We can come back with.
No, that's fine. It's only to get it. That's fine. Lovely. Thanks, Chair.
10, Keith?
Yeah.
Happy days. Any other member, anything at this stage? Okay, that was pretty painless.
Apart from me having to read that.
You're on fire today. If it's any consolation, you've got to see what I've got to read next. I will let you go now then. Thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you again from the committee soon.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
You didn't freeze any of your okay.
Okay, members, if you're content then with the SL1, I just need to let you know that the committee will consider the SR itself at next week's committee meeting to allow any further contemplation before approving. The rule is subject to negative resolution. And if you're content then with the statutory rule, is that the case? Yeah?
Sure, yeah.
I just need to confirm that the Committee for Infrastructure has considered SR 20...
That's off next week.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just in case the committee decides they want to do it next week.
Do you want? What's your thoughts? We'll leave it.
It's It's good practice to leave it another week just
Okay.
in case
For
anything
now,
else
but,
comes
yeah.
to you.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll come back to
do it
that next week then, members.
But if members really want to do
If
it
there's
now.
an issue, raise his head this week.
Okay, we'll leave it on the agenda for next week then. Thank you. Okay, members, moving on to item 9 is SR 2025-128, the Planning Miscellaneous Amendments Regulations Northern Ireland 2025. You will see from page 619 to 626 documents in relation to the statutory rule. The rule is subject to negative resolution, and I just need to inform members that the purpose of the rule is to abandon 2 areas of land totalling 340.76 square metres, comprising a turning head measuring 165.92 square metres adjacent to number 9 Belsize Gardens, Lisburn, and a turning head measuring 174.84 square metres adjacent to number 3 Belsize Way, Lisburn, after completion of such works as the department considers necessary to provide alternative facilities. The rule is due to commence the operation on the 22nd of September 2025, and need to inform members that the committee considered the proposal for the statutory rule at its meeting on the 4th of June 2025 and was content. The examiner of statutory rules has reported on the rule and no comment has been made. Are members content with the statutory rule?
Enter.
Okay, just need to confirm the following motion then, that the Committee for Infrastructure has considered SR 2025-128, the Planning Miscellaneous Amendments Regulations Northern Ireland 2025, and has no objection to the rule.
Agreed.
Everyone agreed? Thank you. Moving on, members, to item 10, SR 2025-134, the Motorways Traffic Amendment Regulations Northern Ireland 2025. At pages 619 to 626, there are papers in relation to this. The rule is again subject to negative resolution, and the rule will change the operational hours of bus lane, which may use the hard shoulder and motorways, so that bus lanes may be used at any time as directed by signage. It will also amend the description of some of these bus lanes to better reflect the existing road markings. The proposal aims to provide flexibility when managing the motorways asset and maintain bus progression times to Belfast at all times, particularly during special events. Are members content with the statutory rule?
Enter.
Okay, then I will confirm that the Committee for Infrastructure has considered SR 2025-134, the Motorways Traffic Amendments Regulation Northern Ireland 2025, and has no objection to the rule. Content?
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 11 is SL1, the Carneyhaugh Business Road Newry Abandonment Order, Northern Ireland 2025. Members, you'll see at pages 627 to 629 papers in relation to the statutory rule. It's again subject to negative resolution, and the rule will abandon an area of 671 square metres of road commencing at the point 27 metres southeast of the junction of Rathfriland Road with the entrance to Carneyhaugh Business Park, and continuing for a distance of 19.8 metres in a south-westerly direction. The abandonment has been requested by departmental officials to regularise an encroachment by the adjacent landowner. The bed and soil of the area to be abandoned is owned by the department, and following the abandonment, the law will be declared surplus and disposed of in accordance with the statutory procedures for the sale of government-owned land. Are we content with the proposal for the statutory rule?
Content.
Thank you. Number 12 on the agenda is subordinate legislation. SR is not subject to assembly procedure. The following statutory rules are not subject to assembly procedure and are not required to be laid. For transparency, the Department for Infrastructure follows a long-established convention of laying these so that the Assembly and Committee can consider them. I just want to advise members that there are 3 statutory rules that are not subject to assembly proceedings and not required to be laid. These are at pages 383 to 421 of the meeting pack. SR 2025-123, the Road Races Ulster Rally Order Northern Ireland 2025. SR 2025-130, the Control of Traffic Belfast City Centre Order Northern Ireland 2025. SR 2025-131, the Control of Traffic Glengall Street Belfast Order Northern Ireland 2025. SR 2025-132, the Waiting Restrictions Boyne Bridge Place Belfast Pick-up and Drop-off Point Order Northern Ireland 2025. SR 2025-133, the Parking Places on Roads Coaches Glengall Street Belfast Order Northern Ireland 2025, and SR 2025-139, the Road Races Bushwhacker Rally Order Northern Ireland 2025. And I just want to remind members...
Bushwhacker, very important, Chair, very important.
Remind members that the committee noted these proposals for the statutory rules at its meeting on the 4th of June and on the 2nd of July. And just to check if you're content to note the statutory rules.
Right.
Thank you. Item 13 is subordinate legislation, SL1, not subject to Assembly procedures. The following proposals for statutory rules are not subject to Assembly procedure and are not required to be laid. Again, for transparency, the Department for Infrastructure follows a long-established convention of laying these so that the Assembly and Committee can do so. There are 7 proposals, SL1, for the statutory rules that are not to be laid to Assembly procedures and are not required to be laid. They are listed in pages 670 to 696 and are SL1, the road speed limit number 3 order Northern Ireland 25, SL1, the cycle routes amendment order Northern Ireland 25, SL1, the loading bays on roads amendment order Northern Ireland 25, SL1, the parking places disabled persons vehicle amendment number 4 order Northern Ireland 25, SL1, the parking places on roads, loading bay and waiting restrictions Newcastle amendment order Northern Ireland 25, SL1, the parking and waiting restrictions Belfast amendment order 2025, and SL1, the loading bays on roads amendment order Northern Ireland 25. Does any member have any issue with any of these? Anything they wish to say? No. Can I check then that members are content with the proposals for the statutory rules? Thank you. Moving on, members. Item 14 is the Department for Infrastructure Retention and Disposal Schedule written briefing. Just want to advise members that at page 698 of the pack is correspondence from the department laying a copy of its retention and disposal scheme as set out in the Public Records Act Northern Ireland 1923 and the Rules of Disposal of Documents Order 1925. Departments and the wider public sector are required to develop and maintain a schedule which covers all records, regardless of format, which are created by each of their functional business areas. The legislation sets out that the procedures both for the destruction of records deemed to have no long-term value and for the preservation and transfer to the public records of Northern Ireland of records selected for permanent preservation. Once the schedule has been drafted by the public body, PRONI, and in accordance with its statutory duties, will quality assure its contents and lay the schedule before the Assembly. The schedules are subject to negative resolution procedure, and any member or committee may seek a resolution to pray for the preservation of specified records in a retention and disposal schedule. This is done by submitting a notice or motion for plenary debate to require preservation of a specified record listed for disposal in a retention and disposal schedule laid in the Assembly. Members may wish to note that such motion should be tabled in the Business Office in sufficient time to be scheduled by the Business Committee for debate within the statutory period, 10 Assembly sitting days or 30 days, whichever period is longer. If no motion is to preserve is made within the statutory period, the schedule disposals will be implemented. And just want to inform you members that at page 698 there is a Department for Infrastructure Retention and Disposal Schedule written briefing. Can I get members' views on this or any comments? And if there aren't any, just seek approval or agreement that you're content to note. Thank you.
In the time to go through all the records, Chair, to be honest with you.
There are quite a lot.
I see that there, me and Peter, and we this side of the table, we'll take so many and we'll leave some to the other side and we'll go through them.
I suppose this stage it might not pertain to any of us right now, but it might be worthwhile letting colleagues know that there is a process for that. Should they ever flag up, you know, those that aren't aware of the process, you now know, enough, you can pass it on to them. Thank you, members. Moving on to item 15 is the forward work programme at page 775 of the pack is the draft forward work programme, and I just want to seek agreement from members to proceed with the evidence sessions set out in the forward work programme and to reflect any decisions taken today. There were a significant amount, both in the back of the written correspondence and potentially in the back of the written evidence today. Are members content with that? And is there anything anyone wishes to add to it potentially at this stage? We're probably going to start ramping things up even more.
We'll have that better populated by next week's by the pack you'll get on Friday. We'll have that tidied up. We were just waiting for what was going to happen with the bill and when that was to be introduced in order to get that forward work programme tightened up.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, members. Is there any other business at this stage that members wish to comment on? No. Very well behaved today, everyone's great to see. Okay, just to note the date and time of the next meeting. I just wish to seek agreement for the next meeting to take place at 10 a.m. on Wednesday the 17th of September in room 29 of Parliament Buildings. We all content? Mm-hmm. Thank you, members. That concludes today's infrastructure meeting. Thank you.
Committee room 29. Sound. 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 Committee Room 29, 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 Committee Room 29, Sound. 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 Committee Room 29, Sound.